All right, in this video, we're going to cover the palm down knife hand strike. As you're beginning to learn these knife hand strikes, there's a couple of very important things that you need to know. Your hand is not designed to take a lot of loading from the side unless it's in the proper position. So I'm going to show you that position now. When you do a knife hand strike, you're hitting with the area between the pinky and the wrist bone here, even including slightly the wrist bone. You don't want to hit with the palm of the hand or the back of the hand. Instead, you're hitting with the edge, okay? This is the abductor minimi or something. There's a muscle right here that's called an abductor, and that's the muscle that you want to engage. In order to get that muscle to engage and for your hand to be stable, some things need to happen. Number one, fingers have to be locked together. If they're out here when you hit, they're gonna go brap, and it's really gonna hurt all of your fingers, and you possibly have the chance of breaking one of these small bones in your hand. So instead, lock those fingers together. Secondly, you want your thumb to be supporting the line of your knuckles here. So your thumb is going to tuck in against the rest of your hand. You don't want to leave it out here like this, because then that allows all of these knuckles to flex whenever they're pushed on. So you want to tuck that hand in nice and tight, or the thumb in nice and tight. Now, if you leave your hand perfectly flat like this, or as perfectly flat as I can make it, then you're actually reducing the rigidity of your hand. So just like corrugated steel or corrugated cardboard, you want to add a little bit of a curve. Not a lot, just a little bit. I'm going to move a little closer to the camera so you can see that. Just a little bit of curve in the hand. Finally, you want to add tension so that you activate these muscles here. So I like to tension with a little bit of curve in the fingers, and I'm thinking about extending my hand out and pushing my wrist. So you see there's a little bit of a bend in my wrist here, so that I'm pushing that adductor muscle out, and I'm tightening everything so that that becomes nice and solid. You don't want to turn your hand this way because that collapses that and makes that muscle really soft. You want to turn and extend to make it nice and hard. Okay, now let's talk about how we strike with this palm down strike. Starting from a fighting stance, I'm going to take my front hand and I'm going to chamber across my guarding hand. It's important that my guarding hand remains here, either on center line or in that guarded position by your face. From here, I bring this hand across so that my elbow is now pointed at my target. From here, I'm going to extend out. Now, what I don't want to do is lock my elbow completely so that and my arm is fully straight. I want to leave a little bit of bend, not a lot, just a little bit to protect my elbow joint. That also allows me to engage my tricep and my shoulder muscles in pulling that strike through. So from here, I pull across and then strike out. Again, keeping a slight bend in the elbow. I'll show you that from down here. I'm going to try to keep my sleeve pulled up here. I'm not fully extending. Instead, I'm actually keeping a slight bend as I strike. Okay, in order to do this well, you need to know what you're striking. So there's a couple of different areas and a couple of different angles we can strike at. We can strike straight out, okay? That would be going to jawline, maybe right here behind the ear, up to the temple, okay? Those are all pretty hard areas. Another great area to strike is into the throat here on the side, or even the front of the throat in a lethal force situation. We don't really want to strike the neck if it's not a lethal force situation. So that's a lateral strike, okay, going into the body. We can also do a downward strike, boom. This can go into the collarbone here, into the clavicle, depending on the position of your opponent. Could be going to the back of the neck here, okay? There's a lot of different places you could put this. Even in the back of the tricep is a bit painful there, but we're striking downward. Notice my hand angle may change depending on what I'm trying to protect. Maybe they're trying to grab around me and I've got this hand tucked down and I go up and down. Now, when we do the lateral strike, we're allowing our hips to pivot slightly in and then boom, out, so that we're leading slightly with our hand and our hips are following and pushing so that we have good follow through, okay? When we go downward, we want to come up just a little bit with our body and then strike down, allowing our knees to bend and our body weight to drop into that strike. Now, we can also do our lateral strike to the body at a slightly lower angle, but it works mechanically essentially the same. You're just dropping that shoulder a little bit. When you do these strikes, try not to strike up above your own shoulder level. 90 degrees is pretty much as high as you want to go. That way you protect the shoulder. Now, finally, there's a downward strike, an upward strike. So this is a downward strike. This is a lateral strike. And finally, we have a downward strike. And this is going to be going into the groin, maybe into a leg, depending on where your opponent is, okay? From here, we're going to go upward, okay? Boom, into the groin. If somebody's behind you, this is a great strike to go right in between the legs, okay? Boom, striking again with the blade of the hand there. You can strike here, that's a different deal, but we're gonna go with the blade of the hand for this strike in between the legs, all right? With that, you wanna rotate and pull your elbow up towards your target, but your elbow is always your lead. So if I think about striking straight toward the camera, when I chamber this, my elbow should be pointed at the camera and then pull across past the camera so that I'm allowing all of these back muscles to engage into the strike as I go through my target. All right, so there is your palm down knife hand strike. Please be careful with practicing this. Don't try it on a hard surface. Use a bag or something and go light at first until you understand the great tension that you need in your hand.